Hey everybody, it's Christina of CraftyPaws. I'm here to share a mixed media piece that I did for my hubby for our anniversary. This was inspired by the awesome visible image ahead of our time stamp set that's available at Topflight Stamps. And this is a design team project for Topflight Stamps. I absolutely fell in love with this stamp set because the images reminded me of Doctor Who, and my hubby and I are both Whovians, or Doctor Who fanatics. So even though it's not our anniversary until September, I went ahead and inked up this awesome set. I'm first starting off with some Strathmore Bristol paper, which is smooth but can take a lot of moisture. So I wet it down first with some just plain water with a paintbrush, and I'm sprinkling on and kind of mushing around some Ken Oliver color bursts. And this first one I believe is ultramarine blue. And I realized I hadn't gotten the paper wet enough, so I decided to get out my spritzer here, my little spray bottle of water, and I'm helping the pigment crystals move around. Now I'm adding some indigo. This is kind of a purpley blue. Both sets that I have these colors from, one is brights and the other is earth tones, I think are fantastic. They work well together and separately on their own with the separate sets. And it's so much fun watching these little pigment crystals expand out, just bloom. It's so fun. And it really creates a beautiful kind of unexpected galaxy background. Now you see that I am drying this background sheet because before I do any stamping, I need that to be fully dry. Now that's the stamp set, and I'm going to use that time warpy kind of swirl or spiral clock image, and I'm prepping the surface with my EK Success powder tool to make sure that no moisture is going to confuse the embossing powder that I'm going to be using. I inked up the stamp with Versamark ink, which is a sticky ink, and then I'm going to remove that background sheet with the stamped image and put it over a coffee filter so that I can capture my excess. I'm using Ranger Superfine embossing powder in black, and I'm tapping off the excess, and I positioned that stamp image where I thought there were great swirly purple and blue color action with the Ken Oliver color burst powders. Now I am heating the paper both on the front and the back because I don't want it to warp too much. And by heating it from both directions, it really helps minimize the warping of the paper. Now I decide I'm going to use the woman image, the man image, and the door, the open door image. And this, if you're not familiar with Doctor Who, is kind of a common scene in the series. There are oftentimes, the TARDIS is the time transport machine, and it looks like a telephone booth, but has a door that opens in and out. And that door reminded me of that, and the people falling out of it reminded me of so many scenes from Doctor Who. So I have, again, stamped out the images with Versamark ink, and I am putting that black, superfine black embossing powder on it, capturing the excess in that coffee filter and pouring it back into the jar. And then I'm going to, again, heat it with the heat tool. I've just flicked off a couple of stray grains of the embossing powder. And I'm also heating the back in different parts that seem to have curled. The paper seemed to have curled a little bit as it was fully drying. But, you know, with the heat tool and your ability to heat on the front and the back, it really stays relatively flat. Now I'm inking up the edges with Tim Holtz Distress ink in black soot. And I just wanted to create more kind of drama on the background. And I thought that edging it with this blended black ink really helped kind of make the rest of the card or background and the images pop more. I also printed out from my computer some sentiments. First is this happy 10th anniversary sentiment, and I'm inking all the edges with more of the distressed ink. And I'm also deciding that I want the galaxy background to look more dramatic. So I'm adding more black, kind of, especially around the corners, but really all around the edges of this project. And I think adding that black really helps make it more dramatic and helps the background galaxy pop a little bit more and look more like a galaxy rather than just kind of a watercolored background. I also wanted to let you know that the sentiments that I printed out from my computer, one is a quote from Doctor Who. It's from the 10th Doctor, and he says, "People assume that time is a strict progression. It's more like a big ball of wibbly wobbly, timey-wimey stuff." And that's David Tennant as the Doctor. And the other quote is a quote about love, and it says, "You found true love when you fall in love with the same person over and over again." Now I want to show you that even though I did this out of order, I wanted to create more of a starry look in the galaxy background. So I put some acrylic paint on an acrylic block, and I've watered it down with just water from my spray bottle. And with an old toothbrush, I'm going to flick on or spatter on little droplets that will hopefully give the background the look of stars. And it's not as visible in the video, but you'll see in the final pictures that it really does give the look of a starry background. And it's just, very roughly flicking on this watered down acrylic paint. Now, I didn't want the images of the man and the woman to have the stars on them. I wanted those to be clean silhouette images. And luckily, because I had heat embossed them, I'm able to wipe off that white acrylic splatter on those images with just a damp paper towel. So they look relatively clean. And I'm appreciative that even though I did this kind of out of order, they did come off looking clean. Now, for the sentiments, back to that, I have put double-sided foam adhesive behind each little strip of the sentiments, and I've inked all the edges, and now I'm putting them into place kind of around the scene that I've created here. And I just wanted to add a little bit of dimension, and that's why I put all the sentiment strips on double-sided foam adhesive. I think that also helps the sentiments, even though they're pretty long quotes, pop and stand out from the background image. But because I was able to cut them up into pieces, I was able to position them around the image without blocking too much of the stamping from being visible. And the very last piece there is at the bottom that says "Happy 10th Anniversary." Now with a Sakura black glaze pen, I wanted to reestablish the pure jet black of the embossed man and woman. So I'm going over that with the glaze pen, and it really blends in beautifully with the black heat embossing. And it just made any vestige of the white splatter paint totally disappear. Now I decided to connect the two people with the spiraling clock image by extending the dots that start at the top of the stamped spiral clock and extending those out further as if it was kind of exploding out further up so that the people are kind of more framed by the dots. And this is just a little bit of random dotting here. I'm doing this with the Sakura glaze pen so that it matches really well the sheen and the slight bit of texture with the black heat embossing. And I think connecting that stamp, that clock stamp with the two images falling down into it, really makes this more finished looking. I thought it looked a little too kind of piecemeal until I got these dots put into place. And it's amazing how just adding some simple dots like this can really bring a more cohesive look to a project like this. And that's my completed anniversary card for my hubby. I hope you've enjoyed this process video. If you did, please give this video a thumbs up. And if you're interested in this awesome visible image stamp set, please check out Topflight stamps. I love their international stamps. I believe this one's a British one, so go check it out. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you guys are having a wonderful crafty day.